and welcome to Law Live. My next guest is a true behemoth in law in every sense of the word. 18 years in the profession of journalism, and now his role at LVH Consulting. He is the owner. It sounds very lush, very chic, but takes law firms that want to get to that next level and individuals who want to take their career and make that next step. Which is the title of it, to that next place. Could you please make very welcome the incomparable Justin Whealing? How are you, Justin?
I'm feeling quite a lot better after that lovely introduction, Cullen. So I just hope you haven't oversold me to your dedicated listeners.
Please, I'm a big believer in overselling, over-delivering, rather than doing what everyone says, undersell, over-deliver. Who would watch a movie if movies were advertised like that? I wouldn't go see it. So we want to keep the bar high there, Justin. But, all things being equal, what is happening in your circle of influence, my friend?
Yeah, so the last couple of months have seen a lot of my law firm clients, and my clients are exclusively law firms, really look to start planning and organising for next year. So a lot of the work I've been doing at present has been working with law firms about the focus areas that they're looking to really dive further into in 2023. New practice groups, maybe new offices, expanding this practice group. So a lot of planning at the moment, a lot of written analysis. And also on the people side, which is what makes up a law firm and is the heart and beat of a law firm, looking to launch those recruitment campaigns for 2023 as well.
Okay. So recruitment is obviously a big part of your strategy. And I would say anyone with firms of sizes, 20 and above is the sweet spot that you deal in, would you say there, Justin?
Yeah, very much so, Cullen. And it's only really at the senior end that I do recruitment. So partner search is the main part of the recruitment work I do, and occasionally I do special counsel and senior associate search as well. But certainly in terms of the search work I do, it's 80 to 90% partner search work.
No, I love that. And I would encourage everyone, this is a Law Live. It is now Wednesday, the 9th of November at 11:33. Please put your questions in the comments. Justin will do his best to answer them as soon as possible. And if it's anything more work-related, I'm sure Justin will welcome a little DM. Slide into those DMs and he'll get back to you as well. But I did my best to explain what you do there, Justin, but I'm going to give it to the table. What is the best way to explain if someone were to hit you in an elevator, what basically do you do day in and day out?
Yeah, I help law firms with their expansion strategies. To be as succinct as possible, that's what I do. So yeah,
I love that. And at the individual partner level, I know that a lot of my partners who are looking to make move have some great conversations with you, because they can get a snapshot of what's happening in the market, who's hiring, what the salaries are, and they get tremendous value from sitting down with you because all the key players and who needs to make a move. I think that's fantastic what you do with that element as well.
Yes.
But it's a testament to your tenacity as well, because not many people know this. You actually started LVH in probably the worst pandemic in the last century. I'm sure the listeners would like to hear, what was that like? Was that scary?
Yeah, it's certainly given me some material for my memoirs down the track, Cullen.
Yes.
Yeah, I decided to leave my old organisation, which did legal consulting, where I was a partner, at the end of 2019. First and foremost, I wanted to support my wife as she went back to full-time work in a very senior position with what she did, spend more time with my three daughters, and also certainly look to launch my own business in a way more befitting and more aligned with my values and the way I like to operate. So I knew there was going to take some time to negotiate my exit strategy. And while I was hanging out with my three daughters, COVID happened in March, April 2020. So very quickly, Cullen, I pivoted to becoming a home school teacher and running the household while my wife worked inside hours. So for that first 18 months, I mainly spent time with my girls while I was just making sure the business was ticking over nicely, getting the infrastructure in place, maintaining relationships and conversations with key clients and contacts. And then Now things have settled down this year. I've really gone back in earnest with LVH, and I'm now spending a little bit less time in front of the washing machine and a little bit more time in front of lawyers.
I love that. Face to face, belly to belly is where it's all at.
It
But
is.
just touching back on what you were saying before, I'm just that thread of doing law differently, because you mentioned that maybe at some other places that, or things that you've seen, people in your line of work sometimes don't really add the value that they promise, and it's very much
Correct.
an under deliver, over promise type scenario. I'd love to touch on that and what people should be wary of in the snake oil salespeople out there.
Yeah, sure. And with any profession, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly, Cullen. For me, everything I do is based on knowledge and research. Know your stuff. You've got to make sure that when you're representing a law firm client, you're across what their model is, what their culture is, what their values are, what their priorities are. When you're talking to a potential candidate, that it's very important, very, very important that you treat them with great care and consideration and confidence.
Yes.
It's often not an easy thing for someone just to talk to me about, I might be looking for a change, and you treat that information with the greatest care and respect. You also treat their time with the greatest care and respect. And with the written analysis and research that I do, that forms the basis of everything else I do, including the partner search work and the recruitment work. So I find that you've got to be genuine, you've got to be authentic, you've got to treat people with great care and respect. And when you're talking to your law firm clients, you need to make sure you're a good listener and hear what their priorities are and dovetail your advice accordingly.
I love that. So it's not waiting for your turn to speak, but actually just filtering, which is what most people do, listening to the needs and actually delivering that value and that outcome. I love what I'm really, I think that's so. Go ahead.
Sorry, Colin. Yes, I was going to add that being a good listener is the most important skill or trait that I can impart with regards to what I do.
Fantastic. Was that mentored in you? Did you get that sort of advice early on in your career, Justin?
I think, what, to go way back, I think that probably just started with the patience that mum and dad showed. I'd say.
Shout out to mum and dad.
Yeah, so it came from having been really, really lucky to have those sort of good values in terms of as I was growing up, and I find in terms of my natural personality, it's I'm someone who likes to survey a scene before diving in too. So that's how I like to work. Not rush into things, and particularly when you're dealing with law firms, they want to know that they've got that safe pair of hands, and and someone who will treat their information and the brief with great care and diligence and consideration as well. So certainly to be successful with what I do, you need to have those qualities. But I think, naturally speaking, I probably sort of had that sort of growing up from a young age as well.
I love that. In terms of legal professionals in particular, why do you love working with legal professionals, and why lawyers and why law firms there, Justin?
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. Yeah, my background is in journalism. So
yes.
I just find the law firm environment and speaking to lawyers to just be fascinating, interesting conversations. Often the smartest people, the funniest people, the wittiest people, the shrewdest people in the room are the lawyers.
Yes, they are.
And what often surprises me is that they don't realize this themselves. They're so used to hiding their light under a bushel. It frustrates me, Cullen, frustrates me immensely. And so I found speaking to lawyers really interesting. Law firm environments are so unique, and in terms of how they compare to the corporations they advise as well. And I love talking to firms about how they can improve their model and improve their processes and improve the culture. And and so I just find when you put these fascinating, interesting, smart people together, lawyers, in a mass environment in the law firm, you're just going to have something that's really interesting and unique. And there's no other profession in Australia or indeed in the world in terms of that sort of white collar professional basis that I can think of that is similar to a law firm environment. So I learn new stuff every day, and it still fascinates me.
Great answer, Justin. I'm sure the lawyers tuning in, and we've got a few watching, would concur. when I was in banking, because similar, I'm not a lawyer, we always talked about the trust to likability graph. And
Yep.
lawyers, bankers, and brokers seem to be in the bottom left-hand corner of that graph. And the person's accountant is in the top right. People love their accountants. So we love dealing with lawyers simply because we are liked the least out of all those groups of people. So misery loves company, as it were. I'm
Yeah,
joking, of course.
I remember as a journo, they were pretty high up in the unpopularity index as well, Cullen. But but I find that, as you know, that the good people stand out no matter what they do. And once you earn someone's trust, you need to work hard to keep it. But once you've earned it, that goes a long way to maintaining relationships.
Well, as Adrian Corbell, who was on the show in episode 12, said, trust is lost in buckets and gained in buckets. I think the term is actually lost in buckets, gained in drops, but I like his frame of mind there.
It's a fair analogy.
Yeah, I like it. But talking about that trust, newly minted partners, and congratulations if you've become a partner, salaried, equity, or otherwise. What is your number one tip for them to gain further trust in the organization, for their team, or their new company that they're about to join or want to join?
Yeah, network, and network, Cullen. So the most important thing for new partners, I think, to do is to look to establish themselves as a partner. So that means being more visible in the sectors and with the clients in which they work, being more visible as well within the law firm where they work too. So attend the networking events. If there's an opportunity to play an active role in some of those top table strategic discussions, don't be reticent to do so. It's funny that the junior law firm partners, and I say junior not in terms of age, but in terms of when they were appointed a partner, in that first
Correct.
2
It's tenure as a
correct,
partner. Come on. This is a meritocracy here.
In those first 2 years, senior partners actually look to those junior partners in that sense to tell them about the trends for the future, and the smart law firm managing partners and senior managers run a law firm for the junior partners coming through and the next cohort of partners coming through. And the beating pulse, or the people who provide the beating pulse of those thoughts, of those values, of those motivations, are the junior partners coming through. So don't sell yourself short. Senior partners will listen to what you have to say in that first part of your partnership career, and they want you to be visible, and they want you also to talk about areas where you think the law firm could be better, and where you can improve, processes and systems, and just the way you deal with people and clients. So speak up. Don't be afraid to speak up. Network. Make yourself known to people, and make sure that you attend those relevant events and seminars, etc. So you have an active presence in the market.
I think those are all cogent points that you're making there, Justin. Especially, I think it's that natural reticence and fear that what is someone going to think of me when they look up to these senior partners? Oh my goodness, they're going to think I'm an idiot if I put this idea forward. In my experience, at least with the senior partners and managing partners, the people that you deal with day to day in and day out, they are true gentlemen and ladies in every sense of the word. And I often find people say, oh, the more senior you get in law, the nastier you become. I've actually found that the more senior a person is in law, the more patient and kind and caring they are, and more open-minded, because they've had 20 or 30 years in a profession where they've seen so much and had to deal with so many people that I just find that people at the top seem to be more open-minded than they get credit for. So definitely speak up.
Yep, no, yeah. I agree. I look at my clients, and some of the managing partners and practice group heads have been there for 15 years plus, and to a woman and a man, those folks are people who are imbued with good values and who want to do the right thing by their law firm and by their people.
Correct. And if you were to ask me who's the most stressed in law, I always say whenever we get a senior associate, for some reason they seem to be the most stressed when they come to us, because they got the competition from the below, and also the people at the top obviously driving them to be more. So I can understand why a senior associate would be stressed at that level. But nonetheless, can I ask those looking to make a move in law, take that next next step for their law firm, what is your core thing you tell them that they need to know before they do so?
Yeah. So know why you're looking to take that next step, and also why it might be best achieved going to a different environment or a different firm. So first of all, work out your priorities, your motivations, your values, and then particularly on the value side, talk to people, whether it's consultants or colleagues at other firms, in terms of where are other law firms which align with my values and where there might be a strategic need for me as well. So that's very, very important. Secondly, for any person who's looking to move across as a partner, whether they might be special counsel taking a step up because they feel they're denied an opportunity at their current home, or current partners looking to move across, it's always related to the business case and the expertise you have in terms of how you're viewed by that other law firm. And as discussions develop, that's when you start to talk about collaboration, who you're working with, what your remuneration might look like, et cetera, et cetera. But always remember that you need to not be bashful when it comes to putting down on paper and speaking up in meetings about your expertise. And also when it comes to putting that business case down, don't sell yourself short, because that's how the law firm will look to judge you in terms of how do we proceed with this person. And if it's a global law firm, when we put this person forward to someone who hasn't met this person, what will they think of that person in that business case? So don't be afraid to talk about your expertise, and also to talk about the areas of influence where you are well regarded.
I think you make some good points there, Justin, especially knowing the self-worth and being able to back yourself, and actually in those conversations, put a price on yourself and say, I am worth this much. And I know you and I have had these conversations with partners. I get a lot of people reaching out to me, just finding out anonymously, what should someone at their level be worth? And I tell them, you should be at this level at the very least. And if you've got those tangible things that back up your price, you should be able to put them on the table and say, this is what I've done, but this is what I can bring. And also building rapport and trust with other people and clients and whatnot. I think it's really important.
Yeah, no, very much so. And it's probably not surprising for you or your audience to know that many of the regular and informal conversations I have with my contacts and friends is often around salary review time.
Yes.
I've got practice size X and law firm Y is saying that this is what they can pay me, et cetera, et cetera. How does that compare to other law firms, et cetera, et cetera? So yeah, and I find these days, Cullen, from the law firm side, you need to be transparent about your remuneration model. A lot of people are also motivated by looking elsewhere because they just don't know what they need to do to progress their careers and to get pay increases as well. So the smart law firms know that they need to have policies where it's very clear what entails promotion, the gateways to move through, and also the salary bandings you move through, particularly at that sort of special counsel level and above, and particularly partner level, as your practice size grows as well.
No, it's good points. In terms of like a strategy, I know we've talked about him before. Chris Voss, the ex-former FBI and CIA negotiator, talks about the 120% model. You're always going for 120% more than you think you're worth, so you can take it back to the 100%, back and forth and whatnot. What are your thoughts on that model in particular? What's your advice to those wanting to get paid a certain level in their mind?
Yeah, first and foremost, you need to be comfortable with how you present that as well.
Okay.
You should never sell yourself short, but you also need to do so in a way which can point to a record of success or tangible examples of, I have done this, and this is how it's benefited the firm. So make sure you're specific. Law firms are asked by their clients to give specific advice on an issue. Make sure when you talk about yourself, you're specific about the work that you've done and the value that's been added as well, and why you think, this is what I bring to my law firm. And on the practice side, yes, talk to matters and cases and deals, etc. But also on the values side and the cultural side, talk about those areas as well, where you really help with the law firm's reputation and reach into different sectors. You might assist with regards to internal seminars, client seminars, be on various committees, etc., etc. People say you can't put a price on it. No, you can.
You can.
Absolutely talk about that, because that also helps a law firm to run well, to help staff be more productive, to help staff be more collaborative. And, the reason law firms do that is so the bottom line is still healthy at the end of the financial year as well. So talk about all your involvement, your client involvement, your internal involvement, and make your case. And when you do make your case, be specific in making it.
Great points there. Last one before I get to my final question on remembrance is social media. Should partners and law firms be scared of it, and should it be an important part of their strategy? Things like LinkedIn that we're doing now, going out networking, putting photos up of your team. Like, what are you seeing with the firms that you work with? Are they utilizing technology and social media more?
What a good question. And I'll certainly start by answering this by saying I am a wee bit of a dinosaur when it comes to technology. I grew up in the days of typewriters, and as a journo,
fax machines.
Fax machines was maybe a little bit before my time, Cullen. But so I'm not someone who intuitively gets these new technology platforms and knows how to use them instantly, and what's old and what's new and what's best. But what I do know is that law firms are too reticent to use these platforms, and lawyers can be too reticent to use those platforms. So LinkedIn, I think that's a great platform to increase your professional network and to stay in touch with relevant discussions and what your cohort of professionals are talking about, what their motivations and drivers and those issues are. So I certainly encourage lawyers to be active on those networks, mainly to talk about the good work they do and also the insights they can share, because that only goes to show to people who might not know you so well that, well, this person, they know their stuff, and look how well connected they are too. So I certainly think when it comes to LinkedIn, lawyers should use that more. And when it comes to law firms using social media, there's whole communications teams at law firms who work with senior partners to ensure that happens in an efficient and a good manner. And so I wouldn't say I've ever been asked my advice in terms of what I do to help law firms with those sorts of communications. But on a personal level, I think it's great when I see people talking on LinkedIn about the good work they do and the knowledge they have.
Love that. And people, firms that take a stricter view on their team on LinkedIn, I know there's like gags and don't put out anything unless it's approved. I'm not putting words in your mouth. What do you think of that kind of culture?
I'm not a huge fan of it. I think that going back to one of my earlier comments, some of the smartest people you will meet are the lawyers. So why have all these restrictions and handcuffs about what information they can put out there? They're smart, intuitive people at heart. Give them their head sometimes, law firms. Please take the shackles off. And you know what? Often the younger lawyers coming through know more about the best forms of communication than some of the older folks who make these policies as well. So law firms can be so much better at freeing the shackles of communication, posting pictures of teams and lawyers having fun as well, and not just being in suits all the time, looking serious, and let your sense of humor shine, please.
Your people at the end of the day.
It's refreshing when you meet people who can see not just the lighter side of things, but also use humor to make a point, and also use humor to build contacts and connections as well. And so, law firms can absolutely be much better at that, Cullen, and just give smart people the right to express themselves individually in a way that befits them more often.
I think I'm endeared by what you're saying there, and I think they are very intelligent people, and business is personal, and sometimes it's great to see someone running or swimming or biking to let them know, oh, I do that. I like Jennifer because she does that. Might reach out and see when she's having a coffee so we can talk about business. So
agreed.
Put yourself out there, definitely. But when all is said and done, Justin, you get to the end of your life and you leave this mortal coil, how would you like to be remembered, sir?
Oh. As someone who was interesting. Yeah.
You certainly are.
I might not always agree with this bloke, but you know what? He had something that was always maybe a little bit off kilter or different to say, and he told me something I didn't know before. So I just hope people think of me as someone who wasn't run of the mill. Cullen is how I like to be remembered. But first and foremost, just as a good person who's empathetic and is a good listener as well. So that's how I like to be remembered. Cullen, I certainly won't be remembered for my swimming, my cycling, or my running ability. Those things you just referred to earlier.
No, and you shouldn't be, and you definitely are interesting. You are a good listener, and some big things we can expect from you in the coming years there, Justin. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, sir.
Oh, no, thank you for the opportunity, Cullen. I really appreciate it, and I hope your audience and listeners found at least a little bit of something there as they go to their well-deserved lunch break to mull and think over as well.
Absolutely. And where can people find you? LinkedIn, Facebook? Where are you hanging out these days?
Yeah, do you know what? I don't use Facebook. I'm going way back. I wasn't a fan of the reasons that Mark Zuckerberg set up Facebook in the first place, and then nothing he's done since has encouraged me to use Facebook. I am active on LinkedIn, so please, absolutely, you can find me on LinkedIn and shoot me a message there. I like meeting people. I like hearing people's backgrounds and stories. So if you feel that you would like to do that with me, I'd welcome the opportunity.
Sounds good. Please get in contact with Justin ASAP. Connect with him now, and we'll bring you back for some bonus questions in a moment. Justin, thanks so much for being here.
Cool. Thanks, Cullen.
And thank you for tuning in for another episode of Law Live. We come out every Wednesday, interviewing a leader in law, and we'll upload this on today's podcast and come out later. Bye for now, everyone. Take care. We're bringing you back, Justin. First bonus question. How would you explain your role to a 6-year-old?
I help really smart people who read a lot of books read those same books in a place where they're happier.
I like that. No fear, just much more happy.
Yeah. Happiness is important at all ages.
Absolutely. It reminds me of that John Lennon story. Did you remember that story?
No, I don't know that story, Colin.
His teacher asked, I think, explain what you'd like to be when you're older, and everyone said doctor, engineer, and he wrote down happy. And she goes, I don't think you understand the question. And he said, I don't think you understand life. I'm
not surprised to hear fantastic insights from one of the singer-songwriters of the Beatles, Cullen.
Correct. And I'm putting my quantum physics hat here. If you could go back in time and visit yourself at any age and give yourself advice from what you know now, what age would you be and what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, probably I'd go back to when I was a late teen and say, just trust yourself, be yourself. Yeah. So don't underestimate the ability that each individual has to make an impact on other people. And the best way you can do that is just to do it in a natural way that fits with your values and what you're comfortable with. So yeah, I'd go back to when I was 18, 19 and say, don't stress too much about what other people think. Just be yourself, and you'll gravitate to the people who are meaningful in that nice, natural, organic way.
Oscar Wilde would be very proud of you, sir. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. I like that, Justin.
Of course, when I was 18 or 19, I wasn't listening too well, Cullen. So,
no, we all had filters on back then. Yeah, my goodness. Well, hopefully, your children and a lot of people can get value from your insights you would have given your 18, 19-year-old self. So thank you once again for joining us today, mate. And it's a pleasure to know you.
Thank you, Cullen. I've really enjoyed it. And Thank you again for the opportunity. And yeah, if anyone wants to get in touch on LinkedIn, feel free to do so. But I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Get in touch now, everyone. Have a great Wednesday, of course.